Hello, I'm Paul Aston. Welcome to my bike farm. And this video is all about my Nicolai Argon GX Pinion, which is my take on the ultimate mountain biker's gravel bike. If being a mountain biker means you have to spend nearly 8,000 euros on a bike with no suspension. I built this bike last year with the intention of going bikepacking around Europe, but that idea has well and truly sank into the bottom of my muddy bucket list. But I've still done a few thousand kilometers on it, done some little tours, did a 110k ride one day, some gravel, bit of trail, but mostly been using it to ride either to the pub for aperitivo or to the beach for aperitivo as well. This thing is fully loaded with parts from Hope, Newman, SQ Lab, bike yoke, Schwalbe, cush core, and the heart of the bike is a Pinion gearbox with 18 gears and the Gates carbon drive. It's got it all. Probably the most hipster gravel bike you're ever going to find. When I was ordering this bike, there's a few things I wanted to keep similar to my mountain bike. So flat bars, flat catalyst, pedals from Pedaling Innovations, SQ Lab saddle and fairly short stem. My thought process was, if I'm spending many hours on this bike doing thousands of kilometers bike packing, at least when I get home, the fitness level or the fitness gain should hopefully transfer back onto the mountain bike. So keeping the contact points the same should give a good transfer, where riding drop bars and clips on a road bike, that's not going to give me any benefits when I get back on the mountain bike. The next thing I chose to keep it similar to a mountain bike was the disc brakes. So I went with Hope disc brakes, see cross country X2 calipers with Tech 3 levers. After riding mountain bikes for most of my life, there's no way I wanted to go back to some old school rim brakes. So I went with the Hope brakes, Tech 3 lever, the X2 calipers, 160mm rotors, and I stuck with the braided hose, which when it's my choice, I'll always use a braided hose with disc brakes. It's much tougher and more durable than plastic, and I've just seen too many plastic hoses get cut or damaged in a crash or from a flying rock, and that's just not a risk I want to take. Your life can literally depend on the little bit of oil in those brake lines. Again, being a mountain biker, most mountain bikes have dropper posts nowadays, so I went for a Bike Yoke Divine SL dropper, which has got just a short 80mm drop, but should be a little bit of help on the descents, make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit safer when you're heading down the hills. As a mountain biker, I already spend way too much time faffing around with bikes, repairing punctures, servicing suspension, cleaning them. You know what I'm talking about, all the usual stuff. So when I was going to add another bike to the quiver of bikes, it really had to be super low maintenance, super reliable. So yeah, the disc brakes are one reason for that. Cush core should help with reliability. The Gates carbon drive basically requires no maintenance, same with the Pinion. And the black anodized finish is super durable, and it's going to last, the whole bike's going to last for maybe a decade or longer with barely any maintenance. The inner bar ends from SQ Lab. Now, a lot of people have made fun of these, and I laughed at them myself initially. But I was working with SQ Lab last year, and they really wanted me to try these. And actually, they're really good. They give you an extra position on your bike on long rides. A little bit like putting your hands on the hoods on a road bike, on top of the brake levers. You can set up in a bit more of an upright position. And yeah, when things are getting uncomfortable, you can move your hands, get into a different position, but you can still pull the brake levers if you need to in case of an emergency. So yeah, they're pretty useful. So how much did it cost? Well, mountain bikers love spending way too much money on bikes. And even though it's not a mountain bike and it's got no suspension, the complete bike with all the accessories and the panniers would cost about €8,000, which is ridiculous. And please, nobody comment saying I could buy a motocross bike for that much, because now I've bought a farm, I'm starting to think maybe I should have bought a motocross bike for that much money. But the standard Argon frame is made in Germany. It's made from 70/20 super tough stiff alloy, and the cost of that frame is €1,449. The Pinion version jumps up to €3,349, but that includes the gearbox, the cranks, and the shifter. So essentially you're paying €2,160 more for the Pinion version, but this does include the 18-speed Pinion gearbox, the Gates belt drive and sprockets, the cranks, the shifter, the whole package. And when you compare this to the price of SRAM or Shimano high-level components, bottom bracket, shifter, cables, chainring, cranks, derailleur, the price is relatively comparable, and I think, yeah, the Pinions are in those terms, it's pretty good value, really. How does it ride? Mostly terrifying. I'm not a roadie or a gravel bike rider. I mostly spend my time on downhill bikes, enduro bikes, e-mountain bikes. So the first time you head down a hill on this kind of bike after those bikes, it's terrifying, super unstable. You've got a tiny contact patch. You cannot brake anywhere near as hard as you'd like to without the back wheel coming off the ground due to the geometry. You can't lean it into corners like you can on a modern mountain bike. Yeah, it's mostly terrifying, and this bike is way better than the average gravel bike. The cush core seems like a big help. I've got 40mm tyres plus cush core running between 30-35 psi. That definitely helps with traction and some comfort. But yeah, compared to any modern mountain bike, absolutely terrifying. And yeah, if you're really worried about efficiency, the most important things that you should be addressing first are what you eat, what you drink, and how much beer you drink, which is my current cause of concern when it comes to my efficiency levels. Another concern for a lot of people is the Gates belt drive, and if you have a problem, you're not going to walk into a bike shop and buy the perfect sized, the perfect length belt for your bike. But if you take a spare one with you, which you should do, they don't weigh much. They're not covered in oil. You can easily chuck one in your backpack or your bike packing bag. They're nearly impossible to break. You can't break one under your own power. It's basically impossible. If you do have a problem and you do break it somehow, you don't even need any special tools. You can open the frame with a 5mm Allen key. You can take the belt off completely and put it back on without even removing the back wheel. So if you do have a problem, you could be back up and running in 2 minutes maximum. The grip shift, I don't mind the grip shift. I find it pretty easy to use. If you're really concerned about it, you can now buy separate thumb shifters from Sync Innovations, or Chink. This means you can have a thumb shifter on each side. You can change up with one thumb and down with the other thumb. But there's lots of benefits to the shifting on the Pinion. You can change as many gears as you want. If you're pedaling, if you're sat down, if you're coasting, up, down, as many gears as you want. The only times it's a little bit difficult to change is under a lot of power going uphill. It can be more difficult to change into an easier gear. The Pinion gearbox also seems very efficient, and it gets more efficient over time as it beds in. It's got 18 gears, a 636% range, which is a lot higher than SRAM's best gravel offering, for example, which has 520% range, which I'm not that interested in a huge range of gears, but this thing will get you up any hill and could come in very useful after a few weeks of bike packing, fully loaded bike, and maybe you've got a steep climb to the last campsite of the day. You'll probably be pretty stoked to have that range of gearing. The only real disadvantage of the Pinion I can find is if you're doing steep climb under a lot of power, it can be hard to change under torque into an easier gear. But the same with the derailleur system, over time you get used to the pressure that you put through the pedals and the time that you press the shifter. And it's the same with the Pinion. You can learn how to time, you can start to put pressure on the cables, and as you're pedaling you can feel when to change gear. And the real key is if you can learn to change when your pedals are at 12 o'clock and at 6 o'clock, when there's the least amount of torque on the cranks, you can easily change. Flat pedals, these extra long Catalyst Evo pedals from Pedaling Innovations, they're great, they give you tons of support. You can even ride them in flip-flops and you still get a decent amount of support for pedaling. Again, pretty important for bike packing. You want to take the minimum amount of things with you possible. So if you've got to take an extra set of shoes to ride in as well as for casual use, clip pedals can also cause extra maintenance problems, cleats, pedals, moving parts. Flat pedals, super simple. Yeah, flip-flops, soft trainers, you can ride. I also don't think it's a good idea to be locked into a certain pedal position for your feet or for your knees or for your hips for long periods of time. It's much better for you to be able to move around, move your feet while you're riding. If you do start to get some little niggles or pains, you can adjust, and yeah, you can move around, be more comfortable, and overall better for your health. You might lose a few tiny points of efficiency, but who cares when you're going bike packing? Let's be honest. And yeah, if people argue that it's not the lightest or the most efficient, about efficiency, most people, including me, one of the reasons why you ride a bike is for fitness and strength. So I don't really see, unless you're racing at a super high level, why people get so worried about perfect efficiency. And I never see people going to the gym trying to pick up the lightest weights they can. So really, you just have to get on with the job in hand. So you've probably had enough of me talking by now. I'm going to head up into the woods, the Misspent Summers test track, which quite frankly is not what this bike is designed for at all, but it's the only test track I've got at the moment. It's borderline rideable on a modern e-mountain bike up and down, but we're going to get the bike loaded up with full bike touring gear, gas stove, sleeping bag, mat, pots and pans, and yeah, see if it can handle the test track. That's why I bought the farm, to test on my own land. So yeah, hopefully I come back with all my teeth still attached and can finish off the video. Yeah, let's go. Oh God, I can't believe I'm actually gonna do this. Oh my God! Why is it so steep? Ah! Bikes. Right, I'm paying you a lot of money to do this, so make sure you edit it and make it look like I went perfectly up the climb, no problems, and I didn't fall off, okay?
Absolutely, it's my job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just straight up the climb, no problems at all. Why is it so steep? Oh my! Woo! Oh. Right, I hope the filmer can edit that out and make it look good. got to the top of the hill, because you've got so many gears and so much range, you can easily just drop straight into the trail. Anything that's not a crash, I would class as a success. Oh my God! Easy, yeah, it's cruising. And the corner, over the tree, stump of doom! Oh my fucking oh. Oh. Oh my, oh God. Oh my. Okay. Right, it's YouTube fame. Oh, hang on. What am I doing? Right, it's YouTube fame or nothing. Oh my God! If this like a filmer asked me to do any of that one more time, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Whew. So I need this to calm down. After that terrifying experience, I don't need the script that I'd already wrote before, because it's a complete waste of time. But what I was going to say is, if I was going to do this again or build a similar bike again, I would just go straight in for the Nicolai Argon GLF mountain bike, essentially built the same, but with mountain bike parts, mountain bike geometry, and just some slightly bigger tyres and a suspension fork, because being a mountain biker, I always want a bike like this to be just a bit more capable. So if you do find a trail to ride down on your bike packing trip, you can ride down it, or maybe you want to do a little rut session in the evening while you're camping. I just can't see the point really in having a bike with this kind of geometry. It's absolutely terrifying. That's the most terrifying thing I've done this year on anything. It's ridiculous. But this bike will be up for raffle later this year. I'm going to do one bike packing trip on it somewhere. I think I'd really regret it if I didn't go on a bike packing trip now I've spent the time to build it. So yeah, it's going to be up for sale, up for raffle later this year. So please like, subscribe, do all the usual stuff if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thanks very much for watching.